जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Krishna Balaram Krishna Balaram Jaya Vrindavan Dham Jaya Radhe Shyam Lalita Vishaka Jaya Radhe Shyam Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivarajakarya Ashtottara Sat Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivarajakarya Ashtottara Sat Sri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Jam Vishnupad Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Vishnupada Srila Sachidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Jai Vishnupada Vaishnava Sarabhama Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunatha Sada Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपिका श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायपुर नवदीप धाम की जय। गंगमयी यमुनमयी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। All glories to all glories to assemble Vaishnavas. All glories to assemble Vaishnavas. All glories to assemble Vaishnavas. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome everyone for today's reading of chapter 2, verse 2. Shri Bhagavan Kutastva kasmalam idam vishame sampratishtitam anaryajustam aswargayam akirtikaram arjuna. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Kutastva kasmalam idam vishame sampastitam anaryajustam asavargam akirtikaram arjuna. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Kutastva kasmalam idam vishame sampastitam anaryajustam asavargamyam akirtikaram arjuna. Word to word meaning. Shri Bhagavan Vacha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Kutaha, where from? Tva, unto you. Kasmalam, dirtiness. Idam, this. Lamentation. Vismay, in this hour of crisis. Sampupastitam, arrived. Anarya, persons who do not know the value of life. Jushtam, practiced by. Asvargyam, which does not lead to higher planets. Akirti, infamy. Karam, the cause of. Arjuna, O Arjuna. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to the higher planets but to infamy. Purport. Krishna and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are identical. Therefore, Lord Krishna is referred to as Bhagavan throughout the Gita. Bhagavan is the ultimate in absolute truth. The absolute truth is realized in three phases of understanding, namely Brahman or impersonal all-pervasive spirit, Paramatma or the localized aspect of the Supreme within the heart of all the living entities, and Bhagavan or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 11, this conception of the absolute truth is explained thus. Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajnanamadvayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sabhyate. The absolute truth is realized in three phases of understanding by the knower of the absolute truth, and all of them are identical. Such phases of the absolute truth are expressed as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. These three divine aspects can be explained by the example of the sun, which also has three different aspects, namely the sunshine, the sun surface, and the sun planet itself. One who studies the sunshine only is a preliminary student. One who understands the sun's surface is further advanced. And one who can enter into the sun planet is the highest. Ordinary students who are satisfied by simply understanding the sunshine, its universal pervasiveness and glaring effulgence of its impersonal nature, may be compared to those who can realize only the Brahman feature of the absolute truth. The student who has advanced still further can know the sun disk, which is compared to knowledge of the Paramatma feature of the absolute truth. And the student who can enter into the heart of the sun planet is compared to those who realize the personal features of the supreme absolute truth. Therefore, the bhaktas or the transcendentalists who have realized the Bhagavan feature of the absolute truth are the topmost transcendentalists, although all students who are engaged in the study of the absolute truth are engaged in the same subject matter. The sunshine, the sun disk, and the inner affairs of the sun planet cannot be separated from one another, and yet the students of the three different phases are not in the same category. The Sanskrit word Bhagavan is explained by the great authority Parasara Muni, the father of the Vyasadeva. The Supreme Personality, who possesses all riches, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation, is called Bhagavan. There are many persons who are very rich, very powerful, very beautiful, very famous, very learned, and very much detached. But no one can claim that he possesses all strength, all riches, etc. entirely. Only Krishna can claim this because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No living entity, including Brahma, Lord Shiva, or Narayana, can possess opulences as fully as Krishna. Therefore, it is concluded in the Brahma Samhita by Lord Brahma himself that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one is equal or above him. He is the premier Lord or Bhagavan, known as Govinda, and he is the supreme cause of all causes. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. There are many personalities possessing the qualities of Bhagavan, but Krishna is the supreme because none can excel him. He is the supreme person and his body is eternal, full of knowledge and bliss. He is the premier Lord Govinda and the cause of all causes. Brahma Samhita 5.1. In the Bhagavatam also there is a list of many incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Krishna is described as the original personality of Godhead, from whom many incarnations and personalities of Godhead expand. Iti cha kalapamsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indriyadi Vyakulam Lokam Hridayanti Yuge Yuge. All the list of incarnations of Godhead submitted here within are either plenary expansions or part of the plenary expansions of the Supreme Godhead, but Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Bhagavatam 1.3.28. Therefore, Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, the source of both the Supersoul and the impersonal Brahman. In the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna's lamentation for his kinsman is certainly unbecoming, and therefore Krishna expressed his surprise with the word Kutaha, where from. Such impurities are never expected from a person belonging to the civilized class of men known as Aryans. The word Aryan is applicable to persons who know the value of life and have a civilization based on spiritual realizations. Persons who are led by the material conception of life do not know that the aim of life is realized of the absolute truth, Vishnu or Bhagavan, and they are captivated by the external features of the material world, and therefore they do not know what liberation is. Persons who have no knowledge of liberation from material bondage are called non-Aryans. Although Arjuna was a Kshatriya, he was deviating from his prescribed duties by declining to fight. This act of cowardice is described as a befitting the non-Aryans. Such a deviation from the duty does not help one in the progress of spiritual life, nor does it give one the opportunity to become famous in this world. Lord Krishna did not approve of the so-called compassion of Arjuna for his kinsman. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you for assembling for today's discussion of the second verse of the chapter 2, and the title entitled Contents of the Gita Summarized. So this is the first shloka spoken by Krishna. Now, here Vyasadeva is pointing out, saying that Sri Bhagavan Vacha. He could have said Krishna Vacha, but he's pointing out Bhagavan Vacha. And Prabhupada um, very in depth, he's describing why Krishna is non-identical with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, here Prabhupada is quoting from the Bhagavatam 1 to 11, where there are three features of the Supreme Personality of Godhead: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And these three features are the same absolute truth, but expressed in the different phases. So each one studies one aspect, or each one is attracted to one aspect of the absolute truths. So here, to make us understand more deeply, Prabhupada gives this example of the sun. Now there is the sun globe, there is the sun rays, and then there is the sunshine itself. So anyone who is just understanding the sunshine, but not very much interested in the sun surface and then the sun globe itself, they're attracted to one aspect of that sun. So this preliminary approach is nothing but the impersonal aspect of the Lord. Now, what is impersonal? He's all cognizant, he's all pervading. That means he's everywhere, he knows everything that is happening. Now, sun surface is like understanding Krishna as the Paramatma. Then again, he's all pervasive, and he's existing in all the living entities, existing in all the atoms also. Now, someone understands the sun planet, they not only understand the sun surface and the sunshine, but also the sun god who is in the sun planet and the activities happening in the sun planet, right? So this is the Bhagavan, this is the complete aspect of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, Bhagavan here is also, Parasara Muni is explaining there are 6 opulences, and in full and in complete. What are the 6 opulences? Aishwaryasya samagrasya Viryasya yasasya Shriya Jnana Vairagasya Samam Bhaga Iti Gana. So that is, Krishna is all, he has all riches, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. Now we see here in the world, we are attracted to people because of some of these qualities. Some people are very rich and we get attracted to them. And some people are very beautiful, we get attracted to them. Some people are very renounced, then we get attracted to them. Some people are very knowledgeable, we get attracted to them. Some people are very strong, powerful, we get attracted to them. And some may have all these qualities, some of them may have only one of the quality or some of the qualities. But no one can claim, like Krishna, that he has all the qualities infinitely and complete. So this aspect is only to Bhagavan. And if you see Prabhupada's genius, that Prabhupada translates Krishna, the Bhagavan, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He coins this phrase as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, this is the, bringing the Sanskrit, knowledge into fitting into English theology. Usually, when you say Bhagavan, people may not understand what is Bhagavan. But Prabhupada made it very easy for us to understand that Bhagavan means the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What does it mean? Supreme means he is the topmost. There is no one above, right? No one can be above Krishna. And personality. In the world of where there is a lot of voidism and then impersonalism followed, Prabhupada is attributing that this person he's actually a person. He's a ascendant person and he can exchange relationships. So he is a supreme personality. And of the Godhead, there are many incarnations, many demigods, and then many avatars. But Krishna is the avatari, right? So from Krishna comes everyone. From the shloka quoted in this verse is Chete Sahamsa Kalapumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indriyadi Vyakulam Lokam Hridayanti Yuge Yuge. This verse is called the emperor verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. If you know, in Srimad Bhagavatam there are 18,000 verses. But this is the king verse. This is called Paribhasa Sutra. What is Paribhasa Sutra? The Paribhasa Sutra denotes like this is the verse which is ruling all over the Bhagavatam. That means the purpose of the Bhagavatam is to establish Krishna's to Bhagavan Swayam. Why Krishna is the Bhagavan? And sorry. And many people in many religions, they think that God is either old man, or maybe God is, formless, or maybe God is just like a white light. But only in deep Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, we understand Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he's the most loving, and he's most cognizant, and he's the Abhigya and Swarat. He's independent, and at the same time, he is the Supreme Controller. And if you see the introduction of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says that, why Prabhupada hasn't coined Krishna as God, but termed him as Bhagavan or Supreme Personality of Godhead, because God can be a controller. Even demigods are controllers, right? To major extent. But Krishna is not just controller, but he's also the source. In the 10.8 Bhagavad-Gita, Krishna says that Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo. So I am the source of both spiritual and material. Like he's establishing himself. Now, why is it a difficulty for us to accept Bhagavan as the Supreme Personality of Godhead as it is? Because we don't take the shelter of the Shabda Praman. we take the shelter of Anuman or Pratyaksha. This is how we've been educated in the schools. That's how we've been trained in the universities, to rely upon our senses or rely upon our mind faculties, right? Prabhupada gives an example that, there's six men, they go, they're blindfolded, and then the six men approach the elephant. So someone is touching the body, body of the elephant, and he says that, oh, this is wall. And someone is touching the trunk of the elephant, and they're saying, oh, this is like a spear. So elephant is actually like a spear. And someone is touching the trunk, and they're thinking that, oh, this is soft, and then this is curly, maybe this is snake. So elephant is like a snake. And someone is touching the ears, and someone is thinking that, oh, this is like a fan. Elephant means it's like a fan. And someone is touching the tail, and they're thinking it's like a rope. And someone is touching the leg of the elephant, and they're thinking that this is a tree. So because they rely so much upon the Anuman and Pratyaksha pramanas, we cannot come to the conclusion that, um, Bhagavan, what is Bhagavan to us? But that's why we have to take shelter of the Shabda Praman. And where is the Shabda Praman? The Shabda Praman is coming from the authoritative sources. The Shastra is describing, and also our Guru Parampara. They are describing that who is Bhagavan, why Krishna is called the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And without that knowledge, we can easily put God in terms of either voidism or into impersonalism. So Srila Prabhupada's pranam mantra is Nirvisesha Sunyavad. Now, how is Prabhupada removing this voidism or impersonalism? By profoundly preaching in his books, describing and giving authoritative sources that, why Krishna is called as Bhagavan. Now, here Prabhupada is quoting from Brahma Samhita, Prabhupada is quoting from the Bhagavatam, and then Prabhupada is also quoting from the sages like Parasara Muni, how there is the conclusion that Krishna is actually the Bhagavan. So now, Supreme means he's the absolute hierarchy. That means above him, there's no one else. Now, personality refers to, it refutes the voidism and dim light projections, but actually it refers to a supreme person. It's actually a person. And Godhead encompasses that the entire eternity of all the incarnations, he's the head. He's like the fountainhead. Now, you will see when uh, when Prabhupada came to know the little Saraswati, the little 3-year-old Saraswati was preaching. Like Saraswati, she used to go to people and ask, do you know who is this? Showing the Krishna book. And they say, I don't know. Then they say, this is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is, Prabhupada says that this is preaching. So even a child in ISKCON knows Krishna is a person, and he's not just a person, but as Bhagavan. But there are many spiritual paths where people are, they might have read, back to back, cover to cover, like they know verses, but still they have difficulty to accept Krishna as a person. They still think that there is an impersonal aspect, and then we have to merge into God finally. So I have encountered one person many years ago, and he was so like expert. You can tell him the verse number, he can quote the verse number. And 20 years of study of the Bhagavad-Gita, 700 verses he knows from top to bottom. But still, with a little discussion, although I am not very expert, I'm a beginner, and I don't know so many verses. But with a little discussion with him, I understood that this person is such an impersonalist. So we see that Prabhupada doesn't give us any room for mental speculation. If we read Prabhupada's books, then we understand, okay, Bhagavan means, he's the Supreme Personality of God. We understand, it's very clear. And even in the Brahma's prayers, like after Brahma Vimohana Lila, Brahma goes to Krishna and he's making so many prayers. And in one of the prayers, he says that you are the original Narayana, because Krishna has expanded to many, many millions of cowherd boys. So here Brahma is telling that you are actually the original Narayana, because the place where I come from, South India, many people have this misconception thinking that, from Vishnu comes Krishna. But actually, coming to ISKCON and reading Prabhupada books, we understand that actually from Krishna comes Vishnu, and how there is Mahavishnu, there is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, and then there is, how they enter into the universes, and how there is a manifestation of each Vishnu and then their functions. So again, to understand Krishna, there's no better way than to read Srila Prabhupada books and understand. This particular shloka is just the beginning of the chapter 2, right? And Krishna started to speak, but Prabhupada is so emphasizing to establish this point that Krishna is actually Bhagavan. Now, here, now we will see the other aspect of this verse. Now, here, Krishna is surprised, you know. Now, Krishna is a person, and now we'll see that his expression, that he's surprised with Arjuna's mentality. And the first thing he's asking, Kutastva, where did you know, Kasmalam, where did you get these impurities? Like if you see, if you have someone brings you some vegetables or fruits, and you see in the house, it's like, where did they come from? Right? So Krishna is also asking, where did you get these impurities from? So, and he's saying that this is not befitting for the Aryans like Arjuna. So, who is an Aryan? Aryan is the one, it's not just a clan, or it's not just something to attribute it to southern part of India or northern part of India. But Aryan means one who knows the spiritual values, one who knows the importance of dharma. And Krishna says that I thought you know why this dharma has to be established, but now you are expressing cowardice, right? Arjuna, for Arjuna, like I was expecting you to behave like an Aryan, but you are behaving like an Anaryan. And in the first chapter, you see Krishna is also, Arjuna is giving so many different arguments. And one of the arguments is, if I kill my own relatives, I will get infamy, right? And then by killing in the battle, maybe I will go to the hell, right? Now here Krishna is telling that no, if you don't perform your duty as a Kshatriya, this is where you will actually get the infamy. And this is how you will miss the chance, an opportunity to go to the heavenly planets. And this way you will bring infeminity. Now, here we will see Krishna is particularly asking this question, impurities. Now, generally, we have this misconception. If there is a war, there is no peace. But if there is no war, there is peace. But is it like that? Generally, it's not like that, right? But we have this misconception. We think that when the war is there, there is no peace. Even when there is no war, still we don't have peace, because each one of us internally we are struggling with different battles. We are fighting different battles, isn't it? So the four impurities Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes in Madhura Kadambini, Hridaya, and one of the impurities is offenses, which is aparad. And then the third is asat trishna, material desires. And the fourth is tattva vibhramana, spiritual illusion. This is also called hridaya daurbalyam, weakness of the heart. In the next verse, Krishna will be straightforward. He will criticize Arjuna, give up your hridaya daurbalyam, just fight. Now, what is hridaya daurbalyam? This is a weakness of the heart, attachment to things that are not really related to Krishna. And we have a desire to explore exploit others, deceitfulness, or seeking for fame. And one of the example that comes into our mind, can come into our minds from the Bhagavatam, is Ajamila, right? Ajamila was very um, nicely, uh, his upbringing was very nice in his childhood. He has given all the samskaras. But because he carried some past impurities from the past lives, right? He got subjected to that impurities, and he has fallen down from the spiritual path, right? Then we will see in the cases of offenses, aparadh, there are different kinds of offenses that we can make. One is nama aparadh, seva aparadh, and the most heavy could be the Vaishnava aparadh. So the offenses, we have to be very careful. And who is an example of one who has committed offenses deliberately is Durvasa Muni, right? We know the pastime from the ninth canto. Durvasa Muni, he comes to Ambarish Maharaj, and then he goes to take a bath, and the time is coming close by, and Ambarish wanted to break the fast. Then he sips water in the guidance, from the guidance of the saints and the sages. But then Ambarish Maharaj took it as an offense, and he wanted to destroy Ambarish Maharaj. And he created a demon. But then Sudarshan Chakra was following Durvasa Muni. So we see that, how offenses can, even though we are spiritually very strong, just because of one offense, one heavy offense, we can be pulled down. This is an impurity. Now, another impurity is asat trishna, material desires. We crave for temporary wealth, material wealth, fame, position, heavenly comforts, and selfish desires, or even personal liberation, moksha. Now, who can be an example? We'll see the example of Daksha, right? Daksha he was in a very high ranking Prajapati. But because as he entered the assembly, and everyone stood up except for the Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. And he excused Lord Brahma because he is the father of Daksha. But he couldn't tolerate that Lord Shiva didn't get up. And that's because there was intense desire to be recognized, and he wanted his uh, power to be accepted. And he had an intense craving for this temporary fame and material opulence. And what did he do? He even cursed Lord Shiva, right? And then not only that, he criticized, he cursed. And later, when he got the goat's head and finished, and then again he came back in the Chakshusham Manvantara, the sixth Manvantara. Again, he committed an offense towards Narada Muni, right? So we see that, this is an impurity we have to clear. And then the fourth is spiritual illusion. Tattva Vibramha. So this is basically having misunderstanding of who we are and what is our position and what is the true nature of God and our relationship with God. Now, a closer example I was thinking from Bhagavatam is Saubari Muni. Now we see Saubari Muni, he is spiritually very advanced, but he failed to recognize the position of Garuda, right? And he uh, cursed Garuda. But eventually he has fallen from his own spiritual advancement. And then what happened to Saubari Muni? He saw two fish copulating, and then his desire, he forgotten everything about the spiritual advancement he made, who is he, and what is his purpose of life. He forgot everything. And he went back and married 50 daughters to the king and lived for quite a long time, and then realized. So these are some of the impurities that we also carry. So we have to be careful. So what will be some remedies? The master remedy would be we should have sadhana, always chanting, and our own study of the scriptures, and our own um, chanting, hearing, study of the scriptures. Then sadhu sangha, association of the devotees. Association of the devotees, when we associate with uh, the devotees who are advanced than us, their purity will become very, acts as a remedy. It will protect us. Then the Shastra. Why we need to study Shastra? Because it aligns, it brushes us our spiritual intelligence. And we will be able to see, how, which devotee, what happened with each devotee, and what are the pitfalls, and how careful we need to be, you know. And the fourth is engaging in devotional service. Because we are busy in engaged in devotional service, we don't have room for mental speculation, right? The cleansing process is happening. But apart from that, I was also thinking there are personal remedies for each of the impurity. Like you take the example of Hridaya Daurbalya. We were thinking of the example of the Ajana, right? So we should always make sure that we follow the four regulative principles. Now we see in the case of Ajana, he neglected to follow the four regulative principles, right? And then following the instructions and able to instructions of the guru and the sadhus. And also we should be able to disclose our minds to our guru and the mentors. This is one of the drawback that Ajamil never disclosed. He saw a prostitute and then he just fall for her and he destroyed his life for quite a long time. Now, in case of the offenses, how do we protect ourselves from the offenses impurities? First thing is we carry this, we should genuinely develop humility that, there are always, the others are much better servants than us. And we have to learn to praise others in public and protect in private. What do you mean by protect in private? Say, for example, someone discloses some uh, inner secrets. We don't criticize or we don't go and spread the word. But we actually, if we are in a position to guide them, we can guide them. Otherwise, confidentially hold it. We don't need to go and criticize because this is like, what do you call the one that eats the wood? The termites. The termites are very, very small. It is very insignificant, right? But in no matter of time, it can eat away all the wood in your house, right? So this aparada mentality, it's not just we have to take action when it is manifested, but we should be careful enough that it doesn't manifest even. So we should always take that humble position and learn to praise and learn not to see, mistakes or contemplate on their, you know, behaviors. I like recently I had a incident. I was having a conversation with my friend and she has some problems with another devotee. And this is not the first time she was disclosing this to me. She did many times. But this day she was disclosing and she was telling me, so this devotee is having some health challenges. So because it was already feeding in my mind that, how this devotee is always pinpointing, I already imagined the character about what she is. So I just slipped out of my mind, slipped out of my tongue, and I said, oh, she has health challenges because she's offending other devotees so much. But then I quickly caught myself and I was thinking, it could be any health challenges could have been of anything. It could be because of our past karmas. It could be because of the existing ecological situations, or it could be anything of the offenses too. But who am I to judge? See, but the very fact that I allowed this person to come back to me and allowed to hear that, that criticism, and I framed an image about her, I quickly slipped out of my tongue. You see? So we are no exceptions. Sorry, we are no exceptions, And I was thinking that like we have to be super careful. Even someone is coming to us and disclosing about another devotee's faults, you know, we should learn to pray that, let this not affect us. And let also be mature enough not to judge from one end. Something I learned, but I don't know how much I can apply. With your blessings, I can. Now, the third is Asat Trishna, material desires. Now, we see in the mentality of the Daksha, he's extremely attached to his power, position, material opulence. And because of that, he was very proud. So, again, we have to learn to do some genuine austerities in bhakti, to come out of that material comforts. Whenever we are very nicely situated in the material comforts, we tend to look down upon us, right? So that's why we need to do genuine austerities in the bhakti. And also understand that, any material power, position, and opulences that we have, it is simply to use it in Krishna's service. Otherwise, it is nothing but we are just encaged in a golden cage. Others are in iron cage, but we are encaged in the golden cage. So we have to always remember the temporality of the material world, the material nature. And then the last remedy for the spiritual illusion, tattva vibhrama. So again, in the case of the Saubari Muni, he was also very quick to judge Garuda. And he went into unreasonable compassion, you know. But we have to understand uh, sometimes, when we are dealing with the other devotees, when we don't know why they're doing what they're doing, it's better to follow the principle of amanina manadin. Learn to respect them, and you don't expect any respect, and stay away from this. And we also need to be like a mailman, like Prabhupada says that we are just a deliverer. You know, Sabri Muni could have discussed the same thing with Garuda. I am disturbed that you are eating the fish in Yamuna. You know, but rather than he thought that he's very spiritually very powerful, and his illusion that I'm very powerful person, he cursed Garuda. But of course, Garuda, out of respect, he followed, you know. But actually, that curse doesn't apply to this great Vaishnava. But again, when we are in a position to, in such a position, better to understand that we are a mailman. Like even if we have to correct someone, we have to always remember that, I am the insignificant, but I've been given a position or a service, you know, just to carry out that instruction. Because these are our impurities which impede our bhakti, right? Like how Krishna is chastising Arjuna. Where did you get all this from? So we are also getting all these impurities because of different storage, you know, um, what he says, storage blockages or in our hearts. And we are storing them very carefully so that no one would touch it. But as Prabhupada, um, gives the process, this bhakti process where we do the chanting and the reading and then the hearing, we will slowly come to this understanding that it's not Arjun, that it is us who have to raise our level to the understanding of the Aryan. We have to become Aryans. That, appreciate that, there is the spiritual value, and then we're spiritual beings and we have to work for that ultimate goal. So that is something I wanted to share from this purport. If there are any questions or comments or corrections, you're most welcome. Would be happy. Any questions or comments? Yes, bro.
You said in the course of the class that you should upload your statement.
Mm.
Mm. Goswami mentions one point.
Mhm.
Says one should reveal one's mind before the
Okay.
say Vonitaya Jaya Radha Shamsundar in the temple.
Yes.
So I reveal my mind to the
Yes.
like this session, this problem. So then how does it act? Because the deity is actually Lord Krishna. It is
Mm.
not nothing. And at the same time, I have not approached the person set up guru or a
Right. Right. So I can give you a factual testimony of this. There's one friend of mine. She lives in London. She was visiting. She was visiting. She's from London. She was visiting Vrindavan. So she had this desire that she wanted to see Vrindavan, like from the times of like how Vrindavan was manifested when Krishna was present here. So she was always going to Krishna Balaram before the deities of Krishna Balaram, and she was praying that please show me, you know, the Vrindavan when it was manifested, because we cannot see that Vrindavan, but she's praying to the deities. And it happened that she was engaged, and she and her fiance was in London. So they wanted to read something together, like a book. So, and they chose Krishna book to read. And they started to read Krishna book. And after reading certain few chapters, this understanding came to her that actually I am seeing Vrindavan, you know, through Srila Prabhupada's words in the Krishna. So similarly as what you said, the deities are reciprocate. The deities will reciprocate through the Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Right? We should always be open enough to listen to them. Yes, the deities are reciprocating, but are we in line to understand that the reciprocation is coming from the Guru, Sadhu, Shastra? So, um, as you are mentioning, Rupa Goswami also says in Upadeshamrita that we have to confidentially reveal our mind and heart to the devotees. It doesn't mean that all of them, like 10 devotees are in the room, we don't reveal to everyone. But the ones who we are, very deeply connected with, that way we will be having the guidance. That is my humble understanding. So in that way, we are revealing to the deities, and also we are, that reciprocation is coming. So you can go back and check. This is what I'm praying to the deities. Is it right? My spiritual master, His Holiness Devamrita Maharaj, many times, he encourages many of our like God brothers and God sisters. Oh, go to Gauranatai and pray for this. Pray how to do Sankirtan. Pray how you can read, and pray how you can chant. So he's always encouraging us that we go back to the deities and pray. There's no doubt. But how do we do it? There's also given in the Sadhu Shastra book. You know, in the spiritual talks, my spiritual master gives about how do we read, how do we chant, how do we do something. The same thing is revealed in Bhagavad-Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Prabhupada is very exclusively given. So again, we have to learn to connect different dots, so it makes easier. Anyone else? Any questions or corrections? Yes, Prabhu.
person who said in early preparation,
Mm-hmm.
one wrong move, this is a mistake.
Mm.
He said, all praise.
Mm.
We need no chance for him or for her to come back.
Of course. Of course. You see the example of strawberry money, like, we were talking about, or Daksha, or Ajamal, or the one who were we talking about? Ajamal, Daksha, sorry, Durvasa Muni. They were all accomplished, you know. But when they have fallen down, there's always a path back. But the path comes with a lot of corrections, purification, transformation. So we should not just see that they have fallen down, but what did they do after falling down? And how did Krishna protected them? How did Krishna help them to get transformed, have that purification? So that's why reading Bhagavatam helps us, because we will see there are different devotees, and each devotee has different circumstances. And for each devotee, there are different challenges. And because they're engaged in bhakti, they came out triumphantly. So this is what we have to learn, that how Krishna is bringing us out as victorious. Like in this morning class, English class, Prabhu was mentioning that Bhagavatam is not just about Krishna only, but it's also about the devotees, the glories of the devotees, the struggles of the devotees, the qualities of the devotees. So we are learning simultaneously how devotees reciprocating personally with each devotee. So we don't need to get scared that if there is a fall down, what will happen. So better is to learn the pitfalls of the material world and keep us in a good association, engage in seva, in study of the Shastra, and good sadhana. Yeah, and then in spite of all this, if there is some mishap, Krishna won't leave us. Krishna will pull us through it. Yeah. And so thank you so much. If there are any shortcomings, please do forgive me. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad-Gita ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna